copy of the slides as well. We're also going to follow up the session by sending out an employer guide on the new features and some notes on the document upload feature as well. We have hopefully disabled all cameras and we've put everyone on mute, just so that this helps reduce any background noise whilst we're presenting, and hopefully helps with bandwidth and stuff as well. What we'll do is take questions at the end of each section. So Gareth will just pause once he's finished on a little bit, and then we'll go through any questions that you might have. We think the best way of doing this is to pop them in the chat box, which we'll keep an eye on. If we can respond as we go, we will do, but otherwise when we pause for questions, we'll put those to Gareth. You should all be familiar with using iConnect. We've invited everybody who are our iConnect submitters. So you should be familiar with the dashboard and also with the processes. Gareth will be doing most of the presenting today, and he's going to take you through the changes that will be made to the iConnect dashboard, how employer contribution rates are going to be shown, an overview of a new pay remittance, and employer contribution reconciliation. He's then going to show you a demo on the new document upload feature that's been introduced, and then we'll just finish finally with just a few little areas that I just wanted to go over whilst I've got some of you on the call. We'll finish with a final opportunity for questions before finishing the session. We do aim to keep very much within the time that we've allocated. It might sort of finish a bit earlier than the hour and a half. It all depends on what questions we get through. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Gareth Williams for him to take you through everything.
Thanks, Cheryl. If we just move to the next slide, yeah, the payroll submission dashboard is the first screen you see when you log into iConnect and shows the latest iConnect submission. The fields have been reordered, additional contributions and ARCs have been split, and secondary contributions have been added for the pay period and the monthly deficit amount. The monthly deficit amount relates to those employers who pay a monthly lump sum to the fund. As most employers pay this as a separate payment, we won't be populating this field. However, we know that about 5 of you do pay together, so we will only populate this field for those employers. This figure is held on the contribution rate schedule, which we will look at shortly. Also, total and remittance details have been added to the dashboard in the light and dark sections. Changes have been made to the dashboard to make it easier to read by reordering the fields and to cater for the new pay remittance. There is also a link on the dashboard now to view the current and historical employer contribution rates. This slide shows a screenshot of the new look dashboard where you can see how the 3 columns will be displayed. The first column is the pay summary. This includes the pensionable pay or care pay for the pay period and the main and 50/50 care year-to-date figures. The second column is contributions for this period. This relates to contributions for the pay period and, as mentioned, now includes additional contributions and ARCs for the pay period and the monthly deficit amount. Then the third column is contributions for year-to-date. This holds the year-to-date figures and the year-to-date deficit amount if applicable. You will notice that underneath the second column there is an expected employer contributions figure and a difference figure. This relates to the new employer contributions tolerance, which we will go through in a later slide. Then at the bottom left of the dashboard is the link to show you the history of the employer contribution rate and deficit amount if applicable. Clicking the link on the dashboard will open a pop-up window that will show the employer contribution history. The dates the contribution rate started and ended will be shown, as well as the overall contribution rate, primary contribution rate, and the secondary contribution rate. Currently, we've decided that we will only populate the primary rate, which will be your overall rate. We won't populate the secondary rate or secondary contribution for the period unless you are one of the handful we have identified that will need it. Please ignore the ill health discount as this does not apply to our fund. Also, just to know, if you're an employer who uploads multiple employers as one multi-payroll processing or MPP file, you will be able to see all individual employer rates. So is there any questions on that section?
Nothing coming through at the moment, Gareth, but if we just slightly pause in case anybody is just trying to type anything. Otherwise, we'll move on. But please feel free to pop any questions in the chat if you are thinking of anything, and we'll pick those up.
The next section we'll go to is the new pay remittance. The pay remittance confirmation is a new development. This is intended for employers to ensure they reconcile the data they are submitting to the payment they are making to the fund. The pop-up box will appear when you click proceed on the submission and will already have totaled the contributions showing on the dashboard under the monthly amounts. You will then be required to input the payment you are making and the two figures should agree. If they don't, you will need to correct this, or if this is not possible, you can put a reason why there is a difference. An example of this might be that you've processed your payment incorrectly, cannot stop this, and will adjust by offsetting next month. If this is the case, you would put that as the reason in the reason for difference box and can continue with your submission. We will then be able to see why there is a difference. So here is the remittance box. You can see the period end date and the total payments due for the period, which is populated from the dashboard. So you'll input the payment being made, and then if there's a difference, you'll add the reason for us to review. We may need to follow this up with you depending on your reason. iConnect will still perform its usual tolerance checks, and the pension fund will need to authorize any returns for extract file employers who fail a tolerance check. Here is the dashboard again. You can see it showing the information which was input from the remittance box. A new tolerance check has been added to iConnect that checks the employer contributions provided on the submission against the expected employer contributions. The expected employer contributions are calculated by iConnect using the pensionable pay on the submission multiplied by the employer contribution rate. This new tolerance can be used as a check that the employer contribution rate is being applied correctly. If the tolerance check fails, then it will still require employers who submit by extract file to send the tolerance failure email template they currently do. For employers who submit by online return, which is manual input, the tolerance failure is just a check and they can submit the return as normal. This slide shows a screenshot of where the employer contributions tolerance will be shown on the dashboard. The new dashboard and pay remittance will be switched on from the morning of the 1st of March 2023. This date has been chosen to allow employers to get used to the new functionality on their March returns ahead of the new financial year, and before this new function would have become mandatory by iConnect on the 1st of April 2023. So is there any questions at all?
No questions coming through at the moment, Gareth. Hopefully everybody's followed that okay, but obviously, just pop any questions in the chat or get hold of us afterwards. Hopefully you'll agree that the changes to the dashboard do look better in the fact that in the way that they've reordered them. We feel that by sort of splitting the pay, the monthly and then the year-to-date amounts, that it does look a lot clearer from what we've seen of it. So hopefully you'll agree. Thank you, Gareth.
The next section we'll go to is for the new development, which is for document upload. iConnect has introduced a new development that allows employers to upload documents to active records and records that have been made a leaver up to 6 months prior to the latest submission. This means documents such as maternity forms and leaver forms can now be uploaded directly to members' records through iConnect. When a member's record is located, it will be color-coded depending on the type of member they are. So green for an active member and red for a leaver. You will only see records for a member if you have access to that employer on iConnect. If you are already signed up to iConnect, your role will allow you to start using document transfer immediately. There is a new role in iConnect which allows users to only upload documents and not be able to submit any returns. If employers want additional users to be set up to upload documents through iConnect, they would need to contact the pension fund, and we can arrange this. We now have 3 demos on how to upload the documents. So if Jake could stop sharing, and I'll share my screen. So what I've set up here is a dummy employer on iConnect. And so if you need to upload a document, the first one we'll do is upload a maternity form for an active member. You would search by national insurance number in the box in the top right and just click member search. It will then show you what employments you have access to and whether they have a record. From here, there's a button for uploading an active member document. You would click onto this, a pop-up box would appear, and it would give you the national insurance number of the member, their payroll number, and their post number. You would then select what type of document you wanted to upload. In this case, we'll go for a maternity form. And then you would then choose your document that you wanted to upload. Once that's uploaded, you would just click on the upload button. And then iConnect will then tell you that it's being processed. To check whether the document is uploaded correctly, you need to click on the View Document History button. And it will say complete next to it if it is processed. If it is still showing as pending, refresh your browser on the page you're on and click Document History again, and it should complete. If it ever says that a document has failed, you would need to contact us so we could have a look at why it has failed. Also, if you upload a document to an incorrect record, you cannot move it. You'll need to contact the pension fund and ask them to move the document for you. The second demo that we've got is to actually make somebody a leaver and upload a leavers form. So again, you would search for the member in the same box by putting the national insurance number. Again, it has all the details of the member, so what employer name, the payroll name, and the payroll and post number. From here, you would upload a leaver document. You would pick the reason for leaving, which should match all the codes on the back of the leavers form. So I'll do a voluntary resignation. The date of leaving, so you would pick what the date of leaving is. So I'll put today's date. And then you would just pick your leaver form. Once you've done all that, you just click upload again. And what this will do is it will automatically make the member a leaver on our pension system, and it will also upload the document as well. So that's what you would do for a leavers document. Now, the final demo that I have is to actually show a record where they've got multiple employments and also that they're already a leaver. So this could be one where you've told us they're a leaver like 2 months ago and you are now sending through the leavers form or any documents. This is what you would do. You would just search for the national insurance number again. Here we have 2 records for this member who I have access to. So again, it's showing the red for the leavers record and the green for the active record. Tells you the employer name and the payroll name, and also the payroll post number. So you just need to make sure you pick the right record. Now, to upload a document for this member, it's exactly the same as doing it for an active member or a leaver form. You would for leaver form, you click upload leaver document. Again, you would pick your reason for leaving, put any date you wanted in, choose your document, and then just click upload. And then if you clicked on view document history, it will say it's completed. So the most important thing when doing the document upload is that where they have multiple records that you have access to, you pick the right record. And if you do accidentally index or upload a document to the wrong record, you would need to let the pension fund know immediately, as we'll need to move the document onto the correct record. Is there any questions on the document upload?
Hi, Gareth. Yes, we've got one question come into the chat from Julie Blundell. Morning, Julie. Julie's been uploading leavers forms to iConnect, as she's been one of our trial employers for a few months, and she's found it much easier and more secure than sending via email. But her question is, can we upload any leaver form for a current tax year? And what do we do for any leaver forms for previous tax years? If we have any, can we upload amended leavers forms? So a couple of things there.
iConnect will only allow you to upload documents to a member's record from if they've left within 6 months prior to your current submission. Anything that's prior to that will still need to be sent the old way of emailing it to us. iConnect will only go back 6 months.
Okay, that's great. And also then, can any amended leavers forms come through? So I guess that would be the same 6-month period, would it, Gareth?
Yeah, it'd be the same 6-month period. You would just, as I've just done, you search for the member, they'd be showing as red because you made them a leaver, and you just upload the leavers document and it would go directly to the record, and a workflow for us would be set up.
That's great. Just to add to that, Gareth, I don't want to put you on the spot here, but can you just clarify for employers that do they still make them a leaver through the process in the normal way on their extract or their online upload?
Yeah, you would still make them a leaver your normal process through the extract, but you can also make them a leaver through document upload. But I personally would make them through on your extract file a leaver, or on your online return. Make them a leaver, and then you can upload the document. We will still get notified they are a leaver, but it is better to try and get it through your normal return first and then do the document upload.
Okay. If employers were wanting to send a leavers form maybe in advance, particularly in the cases of a retirement, would that be okay for them to send a leavers form through and it makes them a leaver, but also to put them as a leaver through on their extract or their online return?
Yeah, they can put them through, say they sent through a leavers form this month for retirement in 2 months' time.
Yeah.
They would upload a leaver document with the leavers form, and then when they did their iConnect return in 2 months' time, they would still make them a leaver. It wouldn't error, it would still let it go through, but it's definitely gone through as a leaver then.
That's lovely. Thank you for clarifying that. Hopefully that's made it clear for people. I think it's just to clarify with this process that you are actually uploading a form. It's not a sort of online process, and all of our forms for employers can be found on our website, and there is a forms library area. It's mainly leavers forms and absence forms that we still require employers to send through for. Okay, thank you. So I just wanted to add to this as well. With leavers forms, we are currently looking at leavers forms, what we're asking employers to send through on the leavers forms. We're also having a look at some of the quality of the data that we're getting on the leavers forms in comparison to what we've already had through iConnect. We are finding that in some cases there are discrepancies. So we're just doing a bit of a review to see if there's still value in you sending us a leavers form for some leavers, not necessarily retirements, but maybe for some other leavers, as to whether they are still actually required. We're also aware that our software providers are doing some further developments with the leaver process to try and automate it better and make it more efficient for employers. So basically, it's just a case of watch this space. As soon as we get any further updates or we know what we're deciding to do, we will let you know immediately. We're very conscious that we don't want to be duplicating work for yourselves. So if we can streamline the process, that's what we're trying to look into at the moment. So finally, we've got through this very quickly, so you'll be pleased to know we'll definitely be finishing ahead of time. But whilst I'd got some of you on a call, I just thought it would be useful to go through just a few sort of reminders really of what's coming up. Year end 2023 is fast approaching. We're sort of halfway through February already, and I can't believe we'll be hitting another year end. So this is just a reminder to ensure that your month 12 iConnect submission does complete all of your data return for the year. So you need to make sure that all of your year to date are accurate and complete. And at month 12, we do require you to send us through a final salary figure. Some of you do send it to us monthly, but the majority of employers will give us the final salary figure at month 12. I will be sending a normal email reminder out to everybody in March, just to remind them of what their year-end obligations are and the different things that you do just need to send us at month 12. And with that email, I also send you out two statements that you need to complete. Most of you will be familiar with them. One of them is a year-end reconciliation form where we ask you to complete the amount you've deducted from payroll so that we can reconcile that to the payments that you've been sending us during the year. The other one is a compliance statement that we ask you to sign that you are compliant with legislation, you're deducting the correct contributions, you're sending us the pay through that we require, and that you're also sending through assumed pensionable pay. So they usually, this email is usually sent out between sort of mid to end of March. On the note of assumed pensionable pay, I just wanted to just bring this to employers' attention again. It's just a reminder that you do need to input this figure for any of your employees who might be on reduced pay through sickness or reduced pay maternity or parental absences. If you're sitting here thinking, what on earth does she mean by assumed pensionable pay, and you've got somebody off on no pay sick, then you do need to contact us because you do need to be making sure that you're giving us this correct pay. When a member is on a reduced pay sickness absence or a no pay or a maternity absence, they can't be any worse off whilst they're on that on that reduced pay. So you need to be giving us the assumed pensionable pay to ensure that we are calculating the correct pension benefit. I've popped our website address on that slide because there is much more information on there. We could probably run a whole training session on assumed pensionable pay. So have a look on our website. But if you are a bit worried that you might not be sure what this is and you do have any of those people, then you can email us as well to our pensions inbox, and then we can point you in the right direction and give you some advice. McLeod data checks, I just wanted to mention this to employers as well. I'm sure most of you will have heard of McLeod. This is the age discrimination cases that has resulted in changes in legislation to public sector pension schemes, including the local government pension scheme, of which changes to the legislation is due out later this year. It means that we'll have to do a check when calculating benefits as to whether the final salary benefit is higher than a care benefit, and if it is, they will receive the higher benefit. It's important to note that this calculation isn't just for future benefit calculations for active members, but we are going to have to go back and probably remedy pensions that are already in payment or due to come into payment. We do believe that there's probably only a very small number of members who will be affected, but we do have to do this check across everybody. In order for us to do this, we need to make sure that the data that we hold is complete and accurate. And therefore, we have been undertaking some tests across data. We have always asked employers to send us hours changes and inform us of any absences. So we've not come to employers to ask them for, sort of any data, which is why we're just doing these checks. What we're then going to ask you to do is just sign a statement. We'll sort of say to you, we believe your data looks complete and accurate. Do you believe that you've been sending us hours changes as well? And ask you to just sign that statement. There may be some employers where we believe there may be a few gaps and there might be some missing data, in which case we will come to you individually and ask you for that. But don't worry too much because, as I say, overall data is looking good. And then finally, I just wanted to mention to everybody, you'll all be aware that we undertook the 2022 valuation with our actuary last year. At our employer meeting later last year, results were communicated to all of the employers and statements were sent with the new employer rates and results on. Further statements have been issued recently asking employers to make sure that they are signing up to the new rates. But I just wanted to mention to everybody on the call who will be dealing with payroll that you know about it. Somebody in your organisation should have let you know that you will be needing to apply a new contribution rate from the 1st of April. So if you aren't aware of that, perhaps if you can check at your organisation, statements will have likely to have been sent to your finance director or head of finance. But if you are completely unsure about this, then please just let us know and we can let you know who has had the statement and who will know what the rate is that you'll need to apply from April. Okie doke. Any questions at all from anybody? We could try raise hand and see if we can take people off mute if it's easier to ask a question that way. But are there any questions on anything that we've covered? It hasn't taken as long as we thought, so that's good. You'll get some of your morning back, but we're very happy to look over any questions if anybody's got anything. We'll just give it a little bit of time to see if anybody wants to put anything in the chat. Jake, if you want to move on to the next slide anyway, just so that we can pop contact details up. So those are our contact details. If you wanted to just make a note of any of those. pensions@shropshire.gov.uk is our inbox email address where most of our queries go through to. They obviously will forward anything out to myself and Gareth if you need to contact us. If you've got any specific iConnect queries or on anything that Gareth has shown you today, he's more than happy for you to email him directly. Okie doke, it does appear that we've got no further questions coming through. So thank you all for attending and thank you for listening. As I've said at the beginning, we will circulate some the slides, we will circulate the employer guide, and we will circulate some notes on the document upload. And yeah, no more questions coming in. So thank you very much, and thank you for attending, and I wish you all a good day. Thank you.